Welcome to I am Jen Wilson, the Heal. I forgot what I was going to say there. The Heal and Rebel podcast. I am very excited to have my lovely friend Leanne.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I was thinking about how we know each other. We know each other through Instagram, but we've got a lot of mutual friends, mutual connections. And then we both went on a Reiki drumming course together, and we met in real life in September.
Finally.
Yeah. Didn't recognise you. Well, I knew that I knew your face. I was like, I know her.
Whereas I did, I'm like, I know that's Jen. Because Jack had already told me that you were going to be there.
See, she didn't tell me. So welcome. I've actually wanted to have you on for a long time, since I heard you on Mrs. Brain Trainer's podcast, which was way back in 2020.
Yes, it was.
And this is now 2025.
Yeah, because it was near the end of Lincoln lockdown, I think. I remember.
Yeah. And I was like, I must reach out and connect with Leanne. And then didn't, but then the universe
has brought us together
anyway. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And trying a new wee setup for how I'm recording in person, rather than being on the sofa and having one person in the shade. So hi Leanne.
Hiya.
Why don't you introduce yourself? What do you do in the world?
So my name's Leanne, and I would say I'm a yoga teacher, and first and foremost, yoga teacher. I'd probably say there's lots in there that I've not. I'd say I'm a storyteller.
A storyteller?
A storyteller.
Tell us a story then.
I feel like I have had quite an eventful story throughout my life, and it's the way I tell my story. I feel like maybe I am coming into my own gifts now and my own self.
Yeah,
I'm evolving to the person I've always meant to be. My story was I suffered from anorexia for most of my life.
Yeah,
very much so. But actually, me and Jack just spoke about this. I think the last time maybe I was in the hospitals was 2011. So maybe I was 27, 28 maybe the last time. So I'm now 41. So been quite a long time out, but I'd say that's only when recovery started for me. So as much as, yes, people would say that's when my illness, that isn't when my illness ended. I'd say my illness only actually ended just before I went on Mrs. Brain Trainers.
Really?
I'd say it actually ended through lockdown. I'd say lockdown saved me. And people thought lockdown would have destroyed me. My dad, funny enough, the things that people thought would have destroyed me are the things that actually have made me better. Yeah. So my dad's death was one that was 8 or 9 years ago now, and people thought, yep, that would be and it was probably another moment of, no, this isn't going to kill me.
Yeah.
And it's the same with lockdown, being on my own, but I found being on the own was where my magic happened. I feel like I connected to my magic and my gifts inside that I've run away from. So I feel like I've searched my whole life for an outer answer.
Yeah.
Something else to heal me. Something in the outer world, and not realising inside that healed me. It's nobody else that's going to heal me. It's nobody else's techniques. It's me, and realising I've got everything inside me. If I would just stop bloody ignoring myself. And
we're really good
at that. We're very good. Like as we said, we're very good at suppressing the emotions. And it's like, and what I'm really coming to terms with now is, so I think I'm very mentally strong, probably more than most people. Hence the reason I have turned my life around from somewhere so dark to so light now. So
to have that darkness, you would have had to have strength to get out every day, make those choices to not eat. And you're stuck with that. So that is a strength. But
that's what I try and explain to people.
How do you make that?
It's like an addiction, and it's like that's because I watch programs now saying people are going without food for so many, and I'm like, I went like no water, no, and I'm like, and that's a strength, and it is. It's like nobody can have that dedication to the exercise I've done, the routines I've done, the thing. And yes, that's what I would say the past few years that I've been learning, to find the balance in the middle, to find how to use my addictive personality to a good degree and not allow it, because it can very easily just slip over. And I know my go-to is letting that slip over.
Yeah.
So it's finding that point of going, I'm maybe in a wee bit of danger level right now. I need to rein this back. And I think I strive so much for the next. I know there's more in me to come out, and it's just because I know doesn't mean I have to be there now.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I'm really learning. I have a kind of psychic ability in me that knows maybe what's going to happen, not straight away. I couldn't plan it out, but I know there's something more coming.
Yeah.
And I can then get in my body and go, well, I feel this, so I search. And as soon as I search, I kind of feel like I put myself back. And then I get in my head, which is what probably my anorexia was ran by quite a lot in my head, because my mind, it's like to not eat, it's your mind that takes over your body.
Yeah.
And people say how strong your mind is. Yeah, it's a hell of a powerful thing, but I just think mine has nearly destroyed me and killed me. So I'm trying to stop my mind and actually feel my gut and my heart, and actually realise these are more superpowers than I've ever had. Because I found that my dad, God rest his soul, was basically always, you have to work hard, money doesn't go to trees, you have to go to uni, and I was always a believer when I was young. The hell with that. The most successful people don't need to go to uni. You don't need.
Yeah.
But because of my dad, I got into Glasgow School of Art, I went for that. It was like subconscious, I need to do all this. And then he passed away and I became a yoga teacher. And this is when I go back to before I was ill. I was always sporty. I was always like adventurous nature. I've always been flexible. I've always been strong. So it's like, that's funny how I've went back to something.
Yeah.
And it's as if it's built in me to teach. And even like the injuries I have, my students come to me with the same injuries and I used to think having an injury would make me a worse teacher. It's made me a hell of a lot better, because you have to get so used to what's going on in your body, and then you go, and then the universe sends me people with the same, so I can then help them.
Yeah.
And I think it's more that I'm realising I'm here to teach people something that maybe the world's never taught them. And I might not know what that is yet, because I'm still in the process, but I don't believe I've been through my life for no reason. I believe the darkness that I've seen is because I'm going to help the world in a different way, because I believe everything that was put out to help me actually probably made me worse and nearly destroyed me as a person. And that's the old way of the world is. I believe that it's what we've been brought up, it's what your parents taught you, it's what schools taught you. And because I was so much of listening to others, I would believe that that's why lockdown saved me, because I believed everything I believed, every belief I had about myself was other people's words. It was never mine. Yeah. Art school ended up my brother's dream. Every dream I've done or goal I've done, it's somebody else's or their idea of what I should do. Whereas yoga just literally appeared to me.
Yeah.
And it's like I followed that, and it was the easiest journey in the whole entire world. Like going to Bali, like I got to travel and meet people, and for somebody who had my life, I never saw it, but it also opened me up to meeting all these people from all over and made me realise how much I love travel. I love learning new cultures. It's not about what we're told in one system. It's taking bits from every system and learning from different cultures, learning from different people, different walks of life. And it's what you believe. It's not what somebody else believes. It's what I believe, and my beliefs might be completely different to you, but that doesn't mean your beliefs are any less than mine. It's like we all have our own beliefs, and we shouldn't be told to put in boxes like this label's your label, this box is your box, because we're not here for that. It's like, I feel like when they say about the black sheep, they used to say that the black sheep of the family was the kind of one that was wrong or bad. It's like, no, it's not. All the black sheep are the ones that are here to change the world. We're the ones that don't follow your system and don't go, oh, my next step is a 9-to-5 job. My next step is having 2.4 children. Yeah. It's like, for the amount I've taken it, people going, but why are you not a mum? Well, I don't want to have a kid. And I believe if I've got cats and I'm bad enough with them, so I don't imagine what I'd be like having a child. I think I'm too high alert for that. I'd literally be in my nerves 24 hours a day if I had a child. And I'm just learning to get out my nervous system. So I'm like, could you imagine if I had a child? I'd be back in the place. I'd be backwards. So it's like, and yes, you don't need, I feel like I've had to reparent myself as a child. Yeah. And I don't like saying that, thinking I've not been parented my whole life, because my mum and dad done nothing wrong. They were just a different generation.
Yes.
And I have a brother and sister that's 16 years older than me. So even then, when I was born to older parents. So they were more strict with me, even in the world that I was brought up in. And that did impact a lot of my life, and I understand why, because we came from Port Glasgow and my dad grew up in the rough part, so he was trying to make me stop making the mistakes he done. Little did he know, little did he know, I dig my heels in when somebody tells me don't do that. So I feel that every mistake I've ever made in my life is because somebody actually was pointing out what I shouldn't do, but it was, I've got that nature in me. Well, no, you won't tell me, and I will prove you all wrong, even though I now get that's wrong. But back then, every problem that's really happened has been me going, F you, I'm not going to do what you tell me. And it's like finding them parts in you, which I ran away from them parts of me because I thought, oh, that's the bad part, that's the shadow, that's the side I don't want. And I'm like, no, she's actually determined little person that's in there. That's that person before she get beat down by everybody else's opinions on her. No, it's down to me. It's not down to what somebody tells you in this world to do. And it's like, even like I get annoyed with the diet world, with the one size fits all world. And I'm not even just because I had an eating disorder that way, because now I think Instagram, the way the world's going, it's more fillers, Botox, surgery. It's always something filters were never good enough for appearance. We're trying to change something. But it's like, it deep down, it's never about, we're not taught that it doesn't come from the outer, we're taught that it comes from an inner. And it's the world of society giving you a norm, what you should look like, what I should be like, how you should, if you do this keto diet and I do it, it's going to be the same. No, because your body's completely different than my body. And it's like, I try and explain to people, usually people sometimes when they recover eating disorders can gain a lot of weight because their metabolism's so messed up. Now, if you go in with that mind frame of being told that, your body's going to do that. So it's like, what we're told, and this is what I really had to, I stopped listening to music, I stopped listening, like lockdown free, didn't have any people around me, because I realised everything I was feeding into my psyche was the reason that I had all these beliefs subconsciously, and they might not even be conscious. I'm running. So I found I never believed that you needed a man, ever.
All the single ladies?
All the single ladies. My dad and that was very much so, get married. You need kids. You need a man to look after you. Now, me being me, I think I was here before my time. No, you don't need that. I can look after myself. And I did. I lived on my own for 11 years. I was on my own. So I became too strong, I think, independent, where I was like, get away all the men, get away all the men. But I think it's like you go through different stages of learning. Like, I didn't need anything but yet my whole life it's as if I was searching for one. And that was the subconscious part of me. So it wasn't even my belief. It was my parents had drilled this into me over and over. And even still, my mum, God, she doesn't mean it, but she'll go like that with me and my partner. Oh, you're not going to put your makeup on and make yourself look nice for look. Excuse me. Now, that to me, I get where she's coming. That's her generation, what she's been brought up. But then I go, but that's why I've actually searched for a man my whole life. That's why I've actually been doing the opposite of who I really, really am. And this is what I'm finding is my whole life has been the opposite of who I was. And now I'm becoming me, the real me, flipping it around. And I get bullied when I was younger for being nice. Now, that's freaking the strangest thing with for being nice. I've had people manipulate me because they know I'm a giver. And I now realise that I tried to become bad because of that. That's why I had my eating disorder. I tried to hide, I didn't want to be seen, I thought my niceness was bad. I hated being nice because I thought my niceness got me bullied, my niceness got me walked all over, but now I'm going, I love my niceness. And you know what? I just am around the people who will take off me or do that, and I can now spot them a mile away. Like, I'm hearing of this thing called a dark empath recently, and I'm like, I kind of feel that's
a dark empath. It's picking up on the negative energy all the time.
Yes, because you've been through so much darkness that now a narcissist or people like that can't actually affect you because you're actually going, oh, I see what you're doing. Because I also see your pain and your darkness and where it comes from. Like, and this is what even, I've had a boyfriend that was a sociopath and people were like, why don't you wish harm on them? Because I seen where that came from. I looked and I couldn't get over this. My gut told me to run away, but when I looked at that person, all I saw was a little inner child that was broken. So, and that's when I was a bit like, well, what's this? Why am I this person that can see their dark and their light and but that's because that's what I had to go through. I've had to go through such intense dark, but deep down I'm such intense a light person that it's integrating that together and going, because see, this world, people are dark because of the world that we live in, and it's beliefs and systems and maybe stuff they didn't even know was theirs, and it's been brought onto them by society, by your parents. It's like we've been grown up as if somebody does wrong to you, you fight them. Why can't you just send them away with love? Why can't we just, like, it's as if we always have to fight or go or search it, and that's what I'm learning is the opposite of what we actually should do.
Like if you think about that on the bigger level, there's all the wars.
Yes.
And that's because that person's not happy with, oh, we're just going to drop a bomb.
Exactly.
And that's not the right way.
And like, I can't
where are you coming, if you stopped and said, right, where are you coming from?
But they're drilled in, it's control. It's like, I find it, so I've always had a big issue with control. An eating disorder is control. And the funny thing is, you get into an eating disorder trying to control yourself. So trying to control that, because you can't control the outer world, but then it takes control of you. And I find it strange that most of my life I have been controlled. So it's like, because I was trying to control me, I was attracting control. But I think it's what I'm seeing now is the bigger picture is we've all been controlled our whole working life. What we watch on TV, I can't watch news, genuinely can't watch it. Can't watch, because again, that empathic feels the fear, feels the pain. And it's like I get so ingrained in it, like it affects my life. So that's not doing any good, and people might go, but that's terrible. You're like, no, it's not, because if I go into that fear, I'm going to contribute to the fear in the world. I need to keep myself feeling light, or else I'm not going to do any good. If I'm radiating fear, that's just going to make other people in fear, because I've realised my energy is quite a big, intense energy, so I can help people with my light energy. But also, if I go into that fear darkness, other people are going to feel that off me. So it's like, I choose not to watch certain things. I choose not to listen now to certain musics. I choose not, because I'm like, it's programming my brain. And if people actually did research the mind, they'd realise this mind is not that cleverer than you think. It's a program. If you tell yourself what affirmations work over and over, subconsciously goes in there. But it's your mind. It's your
attention and the energy. What's that? Is it Tony Robbins that says, where the attention goes, the energy flows, or something like that?
But it's like, if you think about it, but if you feel from your heart, it's completely different. Your heart doesn't get programmed by listening to certain things over and over. No, but yet we're getting told our whole life this is the most powerful thing in the world, and we should all go to school and learn about the mind, and we should all, but yet that's us all getting programmed. And then we can't make our own decisions. And then you ignore the gut and they ignore the heart. So when you actually really, so put it this way, like, somebody with an eating disorder, they'll say never go with somebody with a mental health issue, nobody go with this. But yet,
good luck with that.
But then I go, but then do you know what? I'm going to understand somebody more that's had some sort of trauma like me or something. But whereas if you're not going to understand how I could have done what I done. Or so you're really saying that people like that shouldn't, like, be friends or be in relationships. I was like, I actually found any person that I've maybe ever interlinked with that doesn't understand me is more, like, harder for me to deal with as a person. So, and I think we're getting made to think that, so for alcohols or people, 12-step program for eating disorders, you go in this place, you do this, and it's like this way, all size fits all. But no, it's that you have to take a step back and go, I believe I could help a person with an eating disorder over somebody that works in an eating disorder centre if they never had an eating disorder, what you've learned off textbooks, because you can't bullshit a bullshitter. I've done it all. So, but yeah, I've had people come at me when I've said that, because it's like, but no, we learn off of it. Well, no, you don't, you've never lived it, so you don't know how my manipulative brain, and that person that lied to me my whole life, who was me, it lied to myself my whole life.
Grasp
why
the concept of that even being possible, because I used to work in a like, I used to go in and teach Pilates and yoga in a hostel, and it was for women who were in there instead of being in jail because they had addiction problems. They'd maybe been arrested for drugs or prostitution, whatever. And that was something that they said, like, they said to me, that these therapists in here and the support workers in here think they know it all because they've read it in a book, but they don't know anything. And I'm like, yeah, I get that.
Totally. I totally understand that.
I've never experienced their life, but I'm like, yeah, I understand that concept that how could they? How could anybody? And the people who are most powerful are the people that have experienced it, gone through it, and got out the other side and said, I can help.
Because I done a mentorship. I was doing mentoring for MCR pathways, so I do things like that. I like to volunteer as well and help people. And I didn't know this girl had some sort of eating disorder as well. And she went through a little stage of it, and she'll just laugh at me at times and just go, I can't get away with you. And it's like, no, because you can't bullshit me, because I mean, I've spoke to you before. I have 3 cats. One of them passed away in lockdown, which I believe took my eating disorder. I believe she got brought to do that. The other one had in a cupboard for so long, and now she's constantly out. And I believe that's because she's the real me, and the real me lied to myself for so long. So my eating disorder wasn't just I found that the strangest thing is my illness was I can catch a liar out in seconds, and I hate liars. But yet I became the best liar in the whole entire world from my illness. But the best liar to myself. It wasn't to other people. I was lying to myself about how wrong I was, how sort of person I was. But when I learned what was me and what was the eating disorder or the safe place, the person, because an eating disorder isn't a bad and a good. That's my child, my inner child that's tried to protect me in a way, try to protect me from the outer world. So she thinks if I don't feel, then I won't get hurt. So I totally understand. I totally get why she's there. But I see to distinguish between her and Leanne, who was just becoming me at the time, and she'd ran my show for my whole life. So I convinced, I remember people before lockdown that I was doing this cleanse because it was for my health benefit, and I'm like, no, it wasn't. That was my eating disorder to lose weight. She was still there, but I'd convinced not just me, convinced everybody else. And even now I'm getting a lot about my lung, because when my brother pointed this out, I got a doctor and a hospital to give me a major operation to get my lungs collapsed and get nerves cut, because I was sweating so much and I thought there was something serious wrong with me when I was taking speed every day of my life. So, but I had convinced my own self that I was really ill, and in that terms I convinced a flicking doctor to do that to me, and because that was wrong and me going against what really should have happened, my lung stuck to my lung was stuck to my rib now. The nerves reconnected, which they cut, so the operation was worthless anyway, do you know what I mean? And the recovery that I had, and I'm like, but people won't understand that. See, at that time I never had a clue. I didn't know that was like me. It was doing that to me. I didn't realise. And that's why I say now my cat is completely out and she's became a different person. And I'm like, that's me, because when I learned to trust myself and not, and I believe Amber passed away because she was kind of my eating disorder part. So she was my shadow. And now I've got wee Leo, who's like the human one. And if you watch him, he sees ghosts, he sees spirits, he sees all this thing. He's a new me, the kind of one that's like, this is on you, I quite like this. But he's so loving, but yet you only touch him when he wants to be touched. You only, like, he's got a wee fiery side, and I have got that in me deep down. There's I can come across as all this wee sweet, but it's like you poke, you poke that and she's going to come out. There's a part there that's going to come out, and I get that with Leo, and I'm like, whereas wee Tallulah is like, oh, I'm out now. I can see, and she's the sweetest little thing in the whole entire world. And I believe my mum always loved her more than anything. My mum's never been a cat, but that's because she's the real me. She's the essence of me, the real soul in there. That wee nicey one that was bullied when she was younger and tried to be not nice to the world.
And your protection.
Yes, and she had in a cupboard, a 3-story cupboard for 14 years. Literally does. And the weird thing is,
out in the world just like you.
She is, and she now howls like a wolf.
That's weird.
I know, and I believe my wolf is connected to my drums, my Reiki drumming, which we done together. It's funny how I actually got that 4 years before lockdown. I got that just at lockdown. Wondered why I got it specially made, but it was something to do with forest yoga, but never touched it. And I know, and then I knew that basically, it just when Amber passed away, and the guy who made it, which I now find strange, because at first I got this drum made, right, and every other drum that he'd made, he'd put all massive designs on it, right, and I'm like, why is mine just like that? Why did I get this? And I've just spent all this money on, and it's just a drum like this. And I'm like, okay, but you told him your story, so he designed a drum for you, but then I'm like, but I knew Amber, and he said, your drum was the first ever drum I took into the Alps, and I burst it well, it was a full moon, and you 2 howling wolves. So I'm like, so there's wolves in my drum. He told me Amber's in my drum. Now, Leo does not like my drum, who's the new human part of me. So he clearly doesn't like that. Whereas Tallulah likes it and she howls with it. So I think she's connecting to that drum energy, always has been.
Yeah.
But Leo's a bit like, no, I can see that Amber's still in that, so we're not ready to.
Did he get on with Amber?
Oh, but they also fought like that. So Amber was very, put you down.
Right,
I will put. So she was the one, she was kind of half Maine Coon. So Leo could play with her and push her, but at the end of the day, she'd just get a paw and go and put him down. She's the only one he would be submissive to, like right down. So I think he's still got a bit of that in him. Like he feels her when it comes, because it was kind of like a fight of personality as to who was getting the attention. But it's like, I believe that Tallulah's wee wolves is coming out because she's connecting to my drum. But then now that I look at my drum, and I've realised that I'm very connected to the moon as well. Like that's another one of my things that I'm getting into, witches and moons, and my drum looks like a moon.
It does.
So I'm like, did he know me before I even knew me, the story I told him? So he's designed my actual drum for something that I didn't even know back then I was connected to.
Yeah.
And 4 years ago, I was like, what the hell is this? Why has he designed this? I don't want this. And now I'm like,
I think so. I think he had a seed in there, and then when you connected, he was like, oh, this is the one for this.
But back then, that stubbornness of Leanne was kicking in, going, he's not done this right, and I've not got what I want. And now I go, okay, sometimes people know you better than you actually know yourself, Leanne. Just at the beginning until that comes.
Like that empath thing, like you were saying, when you see people you can see, he could be the same.
Yes.
Like he's the empath and you're telling your story because you're a storyteller, but he's seeing the story.
Yes, so he's a visual kind of person that way.
Yeah.
Because that's why I believe, like, I can tell it and people can get it. Whereas this person, like, every other drum had something on it, and that's why I saw it. But I'm like, now I go, I am so connected to that moon, it's unreal. So he knew my magic before I knew my magic.
Yeah.
But it's because he could feel it off me.
Yes.
And it's like, it's so nice when you actually start to have people in your life that can, and because I've maybe always had people in my past that try to push me down, but now I'm getting people lift me up, and you find that you know, like, who's expanders, who's not expanders, who drains you, who doesn't, and it's like, it's real. But it's like, the more we do good, the more you focus on you and actually become the person you're meant to be, like, it's expanders you have around you. It's
because that's the energy you're then tapping into.
It's like my energy, I can't see in other people what they can't see in themselves. Do you know what I mean? It's like when you actually start to see, and when people, I used to think, like, triggers, triggers is the way to heal.
Yeah.
If somebody triggers me, I've just got to go, right, what is it that's triggered me in you, that's pissing me off, that's unhealed in me?
Yeah.
Because
why am I responding in this way?
Yes.
Because it's maybe not a normal way to respond, or it's over.
It's like that.
Overstimulated.
Oh, what's going on here? And it's like, and I used to even, like, me and my brother used to irritate me so much, but yeah, I'd put him on a pedestal because he's so smart, so geeky, so he's me. I'm the female, and but also he was very good at bullshitting. Like, so I'm like, so that's why that was in me. He triggered me, and I'm going, right, okay, now I get it. Kind of starting to see, like, okay, I have bad parts as well as good parts. Well, not bad, not good, you know what I mean? But you have
that shadow and light.
Yes. And I, for years, what I did is I ran away from my shadow, properly ran away, because I thought, and I didn't realise this was once I was out with my friends, I used to think I hid from my anger for myself, because I've got an anger, as I said, that can go like from 0 to 100. And it's only if I'm ever backed in a corner, or it's something really, it's against my grain, I'll go. But I'm like, I hid from it because my anger, I didn't like when it brought out, because when I was ill, I hurt myself with my anger. So I'd take it out on me. So I didn't like that. And then it was one of my friends went, do you ever think maybe it's not for you you've hid from your anger, it's because you're frightened of what it would do to other people? And seeing that moment, it was like woof, you're so right. Because I don't, as much as I've been hurt, I never wish harm on other people.
Yeah.
So I would never want somebody to be on the other side of my anger, because I know my anger is not a nice. It's not even about. It's like I could hurt somebody with my words, because, as I say, I know your darkest fears. I know your brightest. So I'm going to go for your Achilles heel.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for that. Oh, and that is not a nice thing to be. And it's me stepping back and going, right, so that's why I hid from my anger, because I'm like, I don't like if I'm put in that, like, put in a corner, I'm going to come up with your, and that's so hard. But when I realised that's what I'd done, I was a bit like, oh God, that's badly, it's not, but it's not nice. But it's like, I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't, and I wasn't conscious that that's what was happening. But then I go, but I do see people's darkness, and I do see people seeing me. And I wondered why I could say stuff that would literally have a person in pieces, but yet these people were threatening violence or whatever on me, but I could just use a word and it'd be like, oh, what's going on here? And that's when I tried to realise to people, the power of words is more important than people realise. It's like, what, people use violence to hurt you, but never is language is way worse.
To the core.
Yes. So anytime I've been controlled or any like that, it's been through words.
Yeah.
Yes, I've had violence, but see, the violence, I'd pick that over freaking words anytime, because I believe what they've done to you in words done the damage a lot more.
Yeah.
And you had to repick, and like, so I've had to rewire my whole brain, my whole body, and see, for somebody like me I'm an Aries, so I'm ran by the brain. So it's like, this is like an overthinking on overdrive. It's like steroids. It's like, I watched this programme Black Doves recently, and I thought,
I saw that.
Right, so did you see the women going, so I've already got this, I've got all the marks out, I know where I'm going, that's me. That is my way, that's the way my brain, and I'm not even a spy. So I'm like,
you'd be a really good spy then.
They say that, they've always said that, a good detective, a spy, or a crime, and I'm like, genuinely, I would, the way my brain goes.
Yeah.
But
so how would you process anger in a healthy way?
So now I take myself a walk.
Okay.
Yes, straight away.
And is that processing it, or is that you finding a way to suppress it?
No, it's, so when it happens, in that moment,
I don't know how to process anger, so I'm asking.
So in the moment, what happens, if I react straight away, we're gone. That's it. It's too gone. So I first have to go, I'm going to take myself away from this situation. And I'm not, people would, if that's you walk, I'm not walking away. I'm stopping it before, if I start my anger, it's not going to stop. You can't stop me halfway through.
Yeah.
It's going to continue until it's explosive. So I just know now, one, take myself away, so it might be out of another room at first. But if it keeps going, I need to be in nature. I need to go and release that anger, because it is just like, I stood in my house once, and I can't explain it to anybody, but it felt like something came through my feet, through like burning all the way up. It was as if I was on fire. Yeah. It was like, it was that quick that I thought, this isn't just that's why I've learned, if I go to nature, get that back down. So it's like, once I get that down and I take a wee walk or a breeze, I go, wait, was that actually, did we need that anger there? Or was that a trigger from somebody else making me angry, that because they've got to something that I've not healed, it's went to anger? Or was that real, was my anger needed in that point? Because I can say, oh, it's maybe because I reacted too much, but no, if my anger was needed, you need to go, right, well, that's because of them.
Yeah.
So that's meant anger I'm allowed to have. So it's as if I thought anger wasn't a emotion that you should have.
Yeah, which is common for women to have been told that.
Yes, but anger is much of an emotion that you need to, if we bury our anger, it gets stored in our body, and it's going to cause, well, mine's just my hip, yes. So it's like, so I had to really, so even lately I've been going to hot yoga, and don't know, but even now, in Forest was my other one that I teach, you scream, you shout, you, like, when stuff's coming up in my body, it's coming out, and it's usually not even hiss like a snake, it's all this, and I feel that that's my anger that's coming out, that maybe I have suppressed over the years, and I've got to release it through sound, because maybe I've shut my mouth, and I've not, because for years I did suppress that anger. So I'm like, right, okay, mine's has got to come out, just use it in the right way. I go to boxing as well, so I that's my way as well to get out, screaming at pillows. Like, I'm just very much so, I just scream sometimes just to get my anger away from me. But I think you've still got to feel it, because you've got to realise it's there for a reason.
Yeah.
It's either they teach you, like what I've been learning, every emotion's a message to tell you what's actually going on with your body. So anger is usually a shame, a hurt, or something like that that's you've not been able to express. And I believe, especially with females, when I grew up, it was like we weren't meant to be heard. So a lot of mine is to do with my throat chakra, like a lot to do with my heart, like holding here. But also that stability, that groundedness, so in my hips, my lower. So it's like, it's like we all can do that for ourselves and work that out where your blocks are. But it's like if you go back to like society and realise also, what way have you been brought up? What way have you been told? What way is even your parents been told? What ways your friends been told? What way have you been around? Because it's like that's going to be believed in you, even though you might not believe it's a belief. And it's like, and I was always maybe like being a nice one as well, so you don't show that. So maybe I've kept in what I should have said to people, and that's why when I go on a mat I'm screaming, because it's anger that's coming out of me, because it's, why did you hold that in me, and why did you, so it's my own anger at myself that's coming out.
Yeah.
And even recently, so my boyfriend calls it the witchy thing that I do. That's not, it's me just learning how to move my body, and I'll sit at night and I'll just start doing the somatic kind of moving, and the last week I ended up on the floor and all these shapes, and it was like a ball. And the weird thing is, it's kind of similar poses to what gets me in yoga and Bikram, and it's like crouched in, so anorexia, very much curving, try to hide, and it's this, and it's when I'm in this mode, it's like a lock that's coming, and it's I can't breathe, I can't. But also the operation where I got my lungs collapsed. So one thing that's imprinted in my brain is, I thought I was dancing burlesque that night, didn't think I was going in for a major operation. And the surgeon's at the bottom of my bed as my lungs are getting filled. So I jolt up, gasping for air, and he's going, "You won't be dancing burlesque tonight, Leanne, will you?" And I'm like, "No, I won't. No, I won't." But that's what I feel is my trauma.
Yeah.
That I'm currently going through. And I'm having problems with bladder, everything, which is all lung and meridian lines.
Yeah.
And it's like, see people who don't believe in energy, or they think it's all about your physical body, or like they don't think outside the box.
Yeah. I heard somebody explain this really well when they were talking about energy, and they said, they asked the person that they were interviewing, like, do you know what it feels like to love somebody? Or do you know what it feels like to be nervous about something? And they were like, yeah. And I said, well, if I cut you open, you can't find love and you can't find nerves. That's energy.
I love
so
that.
Why would other, like, why would
it's like
anything
TV.
else not be energy?
It's like TV. Yeah. But the reason the TV does that is energy. We don't ask. It's a scientific energy, but it's energy.
Everything's energy.
And it's like, but yet we're taught to believe in a 3D form, like a kind of, and that's why, so I believe one of my biggest gifts is spirituality. Like, I'm very in tune with the other world, like angels, and I always have been. And I believe that's why I was the black sheep. I believe that's why I was so in tune. I believe that's why people actually tried to box me in, because I seen the world differently, and it was like that little curious child. But it's like, because my dad didn't believe that, it was like, I believed, I started to, if I don't see it, then I don't believe it. And see, now I'm still trying to go over them blocks.
Yeah.
Because
it was imprinted in you from such a young age.
Yes. Yeah. And so they always say that something happened to an eating disorder to get it, and it's usually something to do with your parents. And my mum and dad, I never believed, but my dad, so when I was 7, my 2 granddads passed away, and I spoke to my granddad fully as a person, and I was telling my dad, and my dad's like, "No, you never." And I'm like, "But I did." "No, you never." And I remember I believed my dad so much, and he didn't believe in it, that I blocked it. I don't want to see these things. I don't. And funny thing is, my dad's my guide on the other side. Like, and after he passed away, I'd already had something booked, and he came through and he told me that. He's like, "I don't like ever admitting I'm wrong, Leanne, but you are right. I've always been wrong." And he told me stuff that nobody else would know. So it was like, you are my guide. And he is my guide. He can move things in my house now, and he does. It's taken him years to get as strong, but now I know he talks to me. It's blue sparkles I see. I can work it all out. But I'm like, the one person who did stop me, and it's not a big thing, so it's not something traumatic that happened to me. It's my dad simply going, "You didn't see that." So I believe that because in the physical world you couldn't see that, I must have been wrong. So then when I connect to it, I would be like, "No, this isn't really happening to me. This is my brain making it up. I'm using my imagination." And I kind of ran away probably from who I really am. And now I'm trying to connect to that kind of, you don't need to see things, you don't need, and it's, like, as I don't know if I spoke to you about getting called by Hecate, the goddess, dark goddess, so I'm doing her keeper of keys. And she literally calls me, and she calls me with crows, everything with the keys. I started reading lesson 5 yesterday, and I left my car key in my car, and it's to do with, that's what she does. The first day I met her, it was I lost my key. It's quite strange, but it's like, you can't, this is real. Even as I'm driving here, because I didn't know the road, right, and I panic, 444 is sitting behind me in the bloody car. So I'm like, and that's, even when I was doing my angel course, I'm like, am I doing this for the right reason? And my mum's laughing at me, because as I'm driving, I'm going, Mum, there's 444 beside me. Oh, there's 777 there in the car. And she's going, and you think you're not meant to be there? And I'm like, it's all my signs.
All the signs are there if you're open to seeing them.
Yes. Yeah. And I think people need to be a lot more open.
Yeah.
At least get a wee open of the door a wee slightly, let the light in and see.
We peek around the corner. Yeah.
And some people, it's like, as I said, I was so used to being the way that you're meant to be, or like that stubbornness of, I'm digging my heels in if somebody tells me what to do and look where it got me. So it's like, if I can do something, I believe that people who are very strong can go, you can do it as well. You might not believe in this, but maybe just be opened and kind of realise that this isn't as powerful as people think. The mind's not as powerful as people think.
Yeah.
It's probably actually more destroying than people think.
Yeah. Yeah, because the ego internal chatter all comes from up here, whereas everything else comes from the gut and from the heart. Because they know now that there's more signals go from the gut and from the heart up to the brain than goes from the brain down to them, even though it is a two-way communication system, but there's a lot more signals going up than there is coming down. And it's like, that is like, why are we not all talking about this?
Yes, because we don't want it to.
It's huge.
Because they don't want us to come into our...
Yeah.
I believe if people got in their full power, we wouldn't be controlled, we wouldn't have the governments, we wouldn't have all of this. Because you wouldn't need it.
Yeah.
Because it would be a completely different world, I think, because we wouldn't be against jealousy or anything like that, because that's not the way it's meant to be. You're not meant to compare yourself to others, because we're all freaking unique. I wouldn't want to look like a carbon copy of everybody else out there, but that's the world we're getting told to live in. But it's like, I believe if it wasn't and we actually get taught the real stuff, the world would be a completely different world. And I think it's happening now. I do think we're on the verge of change.
Things are starting, like, you can see it even on the bigger stage. You can see change happening, and it could be my algorithm, but I feel like there is so much more conversation about food and what you're feeding yourself, because those microbes are really, really important for that communication going up. And if you've been eating shite food, those microbes are dead.
Well, see,
they're not there, they're not powerful. It's not just about health.
Yes. So see, the one thing that I say that time before lockdown where I convinced myself to go on a cleanse. So I done it for a month now. I believe I actually had
a month-long cleanse, Leanne.
I know.
3 days, maybe.
Month-long cleanse. But it was to heal your gut. Now I do believe I healed my gut.
Yeah.
And the thoughts, the smoke, the oh my God, the clarity. And see, if I hadn't have done that, so maybe it wasn't maybe it was for a higher reason, because I realised then yous are destroying my gut with the food you put in it. And if I heal this shuts up. This actually really dulls down for me. But yous are telling me, like, it blew my brain. It blew my brain by all the foods, and it's just one simple thing of changing foods and what you eat is going to make us be better.
Yeah. See, when you were in the hospital with anorexia, what sort of food did they feed you?
Ridiculous amounts.
But what kind of food? Like, was it real food, or was it...
No. Well, no, we had a 5-star chef. We did. There's a 5-star chef.
That you get in the hospital?
No.
That's
so
poison.
I believe that the reason it becomes so much about food, so that's why you never actually heal from it when you're in places like this.
Yeah.
Because you get a menu plan, and the menu plan for me to eat was basically as if I was eating every few hours. And for somebody who's in recovery, that's not good.
Yeah.
It's like your focus again is still food.
Just food, aye.
So say I started in the morning, I had fruit juice, which is wrong, full glass of milk, cereal, toast. Lunch would be your
like
sandwiches, bread, where you had to have every kind of hang on it.
Yeah.
dinner yogurt, so I hated Muller Rice or freaking fruit corners because I lived in them, or dessert. You'd always this. Then you'd have snack in the morning, snacking, so that'd be a biscuits, chocolate, crisps, fruit.
So that's almost torture of ramming food down your
throat.
Yes.
Then dinner would be your dinner. Then you'd have a dessert again. Then at night time you'd have either toast again or cereal again and a milky drink. Now the thing is about my family came up for dinners, and the plates, my dad and my mum couldn't finish the plates. And my dad nearly cried because he went, how do they expect you to finish that every night? I feel terrible that I'm leaving that, Leanne. And I went, well, I'm not allowed. I've got to eat every bit of that. And I'll always remember once it was, and I'll never eat red meat since, it was spaghetti bolognese with meatballs. And I was on the floor crying in pain because it was half a baton of garlic bread at the same time. And
carb loading.
Yes. So can you imagine the pain in your stomach that would be? The
pressure on your pancreas to produce all the insulin when you've not been producing any. Like,
so you would go from you would build up to, but it was, I genuinely thought, that's where I think you're wrong in eating disorder, because you're focusing on feeding me with food, which isn't going to do it either. Just make me uncomfortable. You're making me actually hate the stuff that I actually eventually need. And now I love my food, but I won't overeat. If I want to overeat, there's maybe times at it, but I listen to my body. So say if I've ate loads the night before, I might not eat straight away the next day because I'm not hungry. And that's not me going, oh no, it's going, I'm not hungry. So when I want to eat, I will eat. And it's like, and that's what I believe people need to do, is intuitively, because see, even I didn't eat meat for years, and I didn't choose to be vegan, I didn't choose to be vegetarian, but now I eat fish because my body needs it. And I believe I went through different stages where my body, even at one point my body needed sugar, so I ate sugar. So it's like, I trust when my body is craving something, because it's like, okay, it needs it for a reason. There's something going on in my body that I might need something. And I'm learning now to distinguish, like, do you know what, every now and again, if I want to have a junk food night, I'll do that. I know I'm going to, my body, I'll feel tired, I won't, but see, once a week, or not once a week, but once whenever, that's fine. It's not going to cause me massive damage on my body, because it's like, as long as every other time I'm looking after myself, that's what, it's not this. And that's what I think the world we're in right now. And for people who make my kind of personality of all or nothing, like go, like you don't need to stick to a rigid diet of 100%. You need to eat all these clean foods, blah, blah, blah. Because see, if you want that cookie, have that cookie. Do you know what I mean? As long as you're 20%, 80%, whatever's right for you. And see, sometimes it might be 50-50. It might not be 80-30. It's about you working out where your cycle is, what's going on in your life, what's happening. If something's happened in your life, like a death or that, you don't want to eat. Because I always remember once in my life when my dad died, somebody tried to say my eating disorder was back. And it was a so-called friend. And I was just like, my dad died. Of course I'm going to lose weight. Like, that's a major thing.
It's grieving.
It's grief.
Some people will eat,
and I don't.
And other people don't. And that's just...
I mean, me and my mum lived on, and my family lived on dumpling, I think, at the time, and Costa coffee. So it was like, I get it, but I was like, that's when before I would have taken that on board and thought, oh my God, has it? And so I'm learning to go, no. No,
you know yourself.
I know myself, and I know when my eating disorder's there. I know when she's there now, because it took me fucking 14 years or how many years to get to Lola out the cupboard, so I know when it's real. She's my wee magic cat.
She is your magic cat.
She is, and she's the one that I always thought that actually never had magic. So strange.
Interesting.
She's the one I thought, well, I don't really know her.
Yeah.
And I do, hand in my heart, believe Amber went, and Amber was my bestie. She saved me, she did, I'm not going to lie. But when she passed, and it's the day I met Louie, and then, so which was so strange. But Amber, to Lula, I always thought, why? It's because Amber was such a big, she was my eating disorder in a way, so she had such control over my life that we couldn't have the real Leanne, the intuitive one, the wee Lula. You weren't allowed. You had to stay in the background.
Yeah.
So now I go, oh God, who'd have thought this? But I've actually got cats. They explain my life journey to me. And it was a vet that pointed it out to me. Because my best friend passed away. One of my best friends passed away of an eating disorder. And after it, Amber like was pulling all her hair out, and it was like point sore. It was blood, and I thought it was her collar, so I took it off. I kept taking her to the vet, and they kept putting her with steroids, and then eventually it was a man vet. Went, "What's happened in your life?" I went, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "What's happened in your life? Your cat is literally mirroring
responding,
you. You have been going through something major, and she's going in and she's overly cleaning herself, because if a cat gets knocked down, the first thing they would do is sit up and clean herself.
Right.
So that's built into them. So he goes, you need to catch her because she's going somewhere, and you need to stop her in that motion because it's becoming a habit." And that's when I said, "My friend just passed away," and he's like, "She's taking away your pain.
Yeah.
And she's mirroring you, what you're going through."
Yeah.
And he says, "Isn't it funny how you don't know when you're self-harming, but now you've got a cat that you can't ignore."
How amazing is that vet?
I know. He took
You don't
ages.
find many of them.
I know. But that's what now I go, my cats mirror me. So that, because like over exercise, and I never used to see self-harm. Certain things I never see as self-harm. So that's what they said. They said the universe basically brought you a cat in, something that you love so much that you can't run away from because you can't see their pain. You'll see yourself going through pain, but you'd never see something that you love. And that's like, oh, that was like one of them moments of, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, but vet, I've been to how many times in here, and they've all just told me like injections, and you're like, yes. And
but
my wee boy,
he obviously saw something in you that he knew that he could say that to you, because if somebody else went in and he said that, they'd be like, "I'm never bringing my dog back to you because you're a nut job."
Aye.
He could see that you would be open to that conversation.
Oh, totally. It was so straight. And that's why now, even with my wee Leo, he went through a stage of pulling out his belly hair, but it was just after Amber passed away. So it was grief.
Yeah.
It was, we went into lockdown.
Yeah.
I found Louis. So it was massive change. So he was, and that was a big thing also for me.
Yeah.
So again, as much as I didn't know Liam was going through anxiety, I couldn't ignore it again with Leo.
Yeah.
And even he gets a wee sore eye at times. That's usually when I can't see properly. And he gets this wee sore eye, and I'm like, oh my God, my cats actually do tell me.
When you say see properly, you mean intuitively see rather than visually see?
Yes, not visually. Yeah. Oh, it's not visually. It's I'm not seeing what's right in front of me. Yeah. I'm not seeing the truth because I'm hiding from the truth, basically.
Yeah.
I'm going like, oh, my blinkers are on. My blinkers are on. I don't want to see that. But then I'm like, oh, well, my cat ended up with an actual eye that's sore because they tell me. Get your blinkers off.
There's a message.
Yes.
Right. So what direction are you taking all of this?
This is where I'm So this is right now. I feel as if I'm in the midst of transformation again. I feel as if, funny how we went into the year of the snake. I feel as if I go by astrology quite well.
Yeah.
And I think that right now I am shedding because I've never believed in myself until now. I've never realised my gifts until now, or like, as I said, Hecate, all these things. And I've realised if I get out my own freaking way is when magic happens. I don't need to do what my dad told me and keep searching and keep doing. I've actually got to learn to sit in my arse, which I find quite hard. Like, and if you knew me 4 years ago to now, I'm completely different, but it's still there. It's still like, oh, I need to do yoga today. I need to do this. I need to go a walk. I need to be active. But then as soon as I sit down, all the answers come.
Yeah, because you're getting out of your way.
So I've learned, I've actually made my life harder for myself my whole life. Is as if I went, oh, I need to keep trying so hard. So I've realised I'm overly strong in the head and I over try. And that's what actually gets things in the way. And I put blockages in. But you know how hard it is to not try?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
So see, even right now I'm getting sent to a nervous system about my nervous, because even now, and this is a big change. So when I done my teacher training years ago, my jambo, well, my teacher would say, don't go near her, you'll never get hurt, relax. And me and Jack were talking about it there, like this right leg would completely lock, and I couldn't relax. And now what I'm getting is, see, when I'm proper about to meditate and I'm doing it, I'll be on the verge of really tuning in and my body just goes, whoop, and brings me right back out.
Yeah.
So it's like, even now, I'm still trying to reprogram that part of my body that's always on alert.
Yeah.
So it's like, I've been on fight or flight my whole life. It's waiting. It's waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
And it's me trying to go, this isn't but it's taken me about 8 years to even be able to relax. But I'm like, it's still there. I can still be in the street and my head will go, or something goes, and my nervous is just like, whoa.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, this is still here. But that's what I think people don't ever get to their potential, because they get bored. They give up at the first hurdle. They don't. People know this is maybe what I'm going to end up doing recovery. I think maybe it's a recovery coach in some sort of way, because nobody teaches you recovery. Even the pride and nothing taught you any of that. You're given a book at the end when you're left, and just that's it. Recovery is the hardest thing you'll ever be. Recovery is harder than being in a mental illness. Recovery, you have to face all your shadow, all the darkness while you're in the faking illness.
Yeah.
And if you're somebody like me who's had it from maybe 7 or 14 to 30 odd, that's a hell of a lot of darkness and shit I'm going to have to bring up.
Yeah.
And it won't just happen all at once, because if it happened all at once, you'd probably end up dead yourself because you couldn't cope.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's got to be a layer, like an onion. I'll take a bit off, you can deal with, then I'll take another bit off. So it's like, this has taken me years, and at times I would want to give up. I've cried on my floor, like, please, I've had enough.
Yeah.
So I think people don't have that, maybe the strongness of my mentality as I have, and they give up. It's the first bit of, this isn't working, so I'm just going to give up.
They don't have the right people around them
to
help them go, you can do this.
Yes. Or do you know what? Keep going a little step. You don't need it all at once. It can be a baby steps. And that's maybe even what I'm seeing now is people, other recoveries or stuff going on, people are like, but why can't they just stop drinking? Why can't they stop doing this? Why? You don't see the small progress that I see that they're doing. And I understand for somebody who's never maybe experienced any sort of out or any of that, you just look for, well, they should stop. It should be that easy. Or it should be, you should just stop. You should just be able to eat. You should be just stop picking up a drink or a dog or whatever. Well, no, it's not going to just happen if they've been doing it for freaking 15 years of their life. It's, maybe people have to reduce. Maybe people have to do certain ways. And that's a win. You celebrate a person's small wins. Yeah. Instead of my whole life, it was, you're doing this wrong. You're doing that wrong.
Yeah.
So I've grew up with a mentality of lack. Like, I'm not good enough. I've not done enough. I need to keep going. It's like, I pick my own fault. So you could give me 1,000 compliments, but you give me one negative. Yeah. That negative is what I'm focusing on for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And that's why society made us like that. We should be praising people for that little step. Like, if you're used to smoking 20 fags a day and you smoke 18 fags a day,
yeah,
that's a praise. You should be praised for that. Not, well, it's only 2. But that's what the world.
That's 2.
But that's the world we're in. It's like, and that's not good enough. Why can't you just stop?
Yeah.
Well, if it was that easy, do you know, I think we'd have all done it long ago. Like, if it was that easy.
Yeah. And what works for one person
doesn't work
for the next. So it has to be, right, how do you navigate this?
So I think even with me just now, people have all got opinions of what I should be doing. And it's me going, right, okay, I know there's a book in there somewhere, but I don't know if I'm ready to write it. And I know you've wrote, and I keep saying, again, it's that person of, how do you start? So I know I'm stopping myself. I know what I'm doing, because I'm not ready at that stage yet, because when that happens, it'll flow, because the stories are in there, they're there. But that's maybe not, just because I know that's going to happen, might not be the next thing. So I've actually learned the past few days, I have to accept where I am. So acceptance is mine right now.
It's a big one.
Why? It's a big one.
It's a big one.
So it's accepting. Right now you teach yoga. Accepting you aren't just a yoga teacher, you're like a freaking coach to people, you're like a little therapist to people.
Yeah.
But that's what it is, and that's a good job. That's, you help people, it's what you want to do. So stop searching and just accept.
And also not thinking it's not enough.
It's that not enough. There you go. What I've always felt, it keeps coming up.
Like, if you're changing people's lives through that yoga class, how is that not? If you're helping yourself through that yoga class, how is that not enough?
Because that's what we should be taught. If one light helps, so if I shine my light, that's going to help you shine your light.
Yeah.
It's not me going, here, I'm going to help you shine your light by me doing all this stuff. It's me going, do you know what? See, just by me shining, I inspire you to shine, and then you'll inspire somebody else to own your truth. And that's what it is. It's like a little flicker. It's like, I remember my teacher saying, and this is the way I know, if I have a candle, don't light it by a lighter. You light it by the under candles. You take a candle, you light the other candle. It's causing light, so it's passing the light on to another light source.
Yeah.
And that's even like a simple scenario to me goes, but that's the way, that's what we should do. If I shine my light, it helps somebody else shine their light. I just pass it on.
Yeah.
So I think that's where
I'm excited by this light shining.
I know, so am I.
Is there anything else you want to talk about today before we finish up?
No, I think I've spoken enough, do you know? I think the problem is I can start and just
but that's the best.
So this is another thing. I've been thinking, do I want to start doing podcasts?
Why not?
That's what I'm thinking, because Leanne likes to talk. This is what I'm working out. I really quite like talking.
No, there's a title for it.
Leanne likes to talk.
Yeah, I think you definitely should, because there are loads of podcasts out there, and so many topics are covered, and there are people that need to hear everybody's stories.
Yes.
And when we came, we used to tell our stories around the campfire.
Yes.
And we don't have a campfire anymore, so we're now telling stories in
I love that.
the medium that is available to us now.
Yes.
So I definitely think you should.
Yeah, I think 100%, I should.
Because that would be amazing. that would be. And I don't think that there are enough females doing podcasts.
And see, the weird thing is,
heavily dominated by males.
Years ago, when people used to say, what do you want to do? If something, I'd be like, I just want to talk. Now, podcasts weren't a thing at that time, right? Yeah. So I was like, so I've done, as you know, so I've been on the telly, as you know, doing This Morning and being so I'm like, I have, but they didn't fit in well what I wanted. So I'm like, okay, I can talk
on the telly that's programming people.
Yes. And now I'm like, oh, right, maybe this is what I'm meant to do, have a conversation with other people, because this is what feeds my soul. This lifts me up as well as helping others. So I'm like, this is what they tell you in the world. It's not about working your ass off to get money. It's see if you can make money at something that lifts you up and helps some why are we not doing it?
One.
Yes.
You have one.
Yes.
That's what you find.
Yes. It is. You shouldn't hate going to your job. You shouldn't.
That just destroys your soul.
Yes. It's a big part of your life. So you shouldn't, and it's enjoying life. And see, I always remember it with my lecturer when I done design. He says, see, when you find a job that you love, you'll never work another day in your life. Yeah. And that's the truth. That's the way I feel. Yeah. So I believe, yes. So watch this space. Don't know what's going to happen, but we'll find out.
Excited. So if anybody who has been listening to this wants to follow you or find out how to connect with you, what's the best, and find out when your podcast is coming out.
I know, yeah.
No pressure. Where is the best place for them to find you?
So you've either got Breathe and Believe Yoga on Facebook. We've got Lee Mick0204, I think it is, on Instagram. Well, you would just find me as Leanne McKillop, because that's my name. And again, on Facebook is that. So that's where you would find me.
I'll put those links into the show notes for it. So if anybody is watching this, listening to this, and something has made you think of another person, or you think this person needs to hear this, please do share it, because that's how people find Leanne.
And we pass our knowledge on.
Yeah, and we get to share our stories and pass our knowledge and share the love and all that stuff. So remember to share, follow, subscribe, whatever all that stuff is that makes it all work.
We don't know yet. We're on a process. We're on a journey.
It's an algorithm thing
that we've not learned yet. I don't get the technology side. So somebody wants to help us that way. Come ahead.
Please.